Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you, Sirak. So, so good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to day four of Windows Server 2019 and 2022 training. So last 2-3 days we were discussing about installation of Windows Server 2019. We have gone through different configuration and services of Windows operating system. Today we are discussing about one of the important service which really needed on in a infrastructure that basically known as DHCP. You maybe heard about this service, something called Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Have you heard about this service called DHCP? If yes, can you comment it on the chat? What is the use of the DHCP service? Have you heard about a service called DHCP? Yes. So what is the use of DHCP? So you may be heard or you may be using the service in your home, basically in your Wi-Fi access point, or you may be familiar with this service. The moment when you connect laptop in your office, automatically you are getting an IP address that is been provided by a service called DHCP. Now, today we are trying to understand how DHCP can be configured on a on-premises scenario. And second one, it's been like right now we are discussing about a hybrid infrastructure. Hybrid infrastructure means that moving your Windows Server 2019 and 2022 on in a cloud infrastructure. Do we need to use a DHCP on in a cloud infrastructure? Or is there any kind of other automatic option is been available on in a cloud? So let me take you to whiteboard. I hope you can able to see the whiteboard here. Yes. So thank you, team. I got a lot of answers on in the chat window. Basically, almost everyone has been heard about this service called DHCP using for a configuration of IP address or assigning automatically. Let's practically see how this has been configured here. Uh, we have a scenario here. Right now, we have been seeing how operating system or how Windows Server 2019 or 2022 has been installed on a physical server or it's been installed on in a Azure VM. Now I have a couple of servers is been configured here. Let's name this is VM1 and second one is been VM2. Right now we have been seeing the installation part. We have discussed about the disk management part. We discuss about RAID levels also. Now if I need to use this server, for example, like if I need to use this server as a DNS or Active Directory or a file server, even if I'm using this server as a shared folder, for example, like if I'm sharing a folder inside this server, if someone want to access this one, for example, like this server is been hosted in your on-premises data center. Now I'm sitting here. If I need to access this shared folder, I need to have a network connectivity, right? If I need to communicate to computer inside a network or an infrastructure, I need to have a network connectivity. How network connectivity has been made? You will be using a couple of components for making a networking inside your network, inside your infrastructure. You maybe heard about something called network devices. You maybe need to have a something called network devices is needed. You need to have NAC port is needed. Yesterday we have seen how network interface card is been assigned on premises, and we have seen how network interface card is been assigned on in a cloud also. Then we need something called MAC address. So each network card will have a something called MAC address. That's called a physical address also. So in if you type IP configuration, there will be getting some internet. Uh, network interface card number you will be getting, that basically known as media access control, or it's called a physical address. Now, along with this, if I need to communicate each other, I need something called IP address. Called IP address. So if I need to communicate to computer or a to device or to network device inside your network, inside your infrastructure, I need to have a IP address. Now, how IP address is being classified here? You may be heard about IP address has been available in two format. One is called IP version 4, and second one is been IP version 6 also. IP version 4 also available, and you have a IP version 6. 6 also available. Now, when you talk about the IP address here, how you will be assigning these numbers? Yesterday we have seen when it is considering IP version 4, you have a IP address, numbers are started or it's been classified as class A, class B, class C, class D, and class. It's been classified as class A, B, C, D, and E. Now, if I configured multiple VMs or physical servers inside your organization, how will you assign this IP address to these computers? That is an important point we need to understand here. Now, if you take infrastructure, there are two ways you can able to assign this IP address. One is known as manual IP address method, and second one is being known as a automatic IP address. There are two ways you can able to configure. One is known as manual method, and second one is being known as automatic method. Manual, some books you may be able to see this has been mentioned as a static IP address, and automatic is being known as, it's called automatic means that using a service you are assigning an IP address to the system here. Now let's go back to the presentation. Now dynamic. Okay, so we are trying to understand a couple of points here. Yes, dynamic DHCP or a dynamic. Automatic means that dynamic IP address. One is known as static IP address, and second one is known as dynamic IP address. Agreeing with your point. Now these are the few topics we are trying to consider today here. We are trying to understand about installation of a DHCP service. We'll try to understand something called DHCP scope, and we'll try to understand how database is being configured here, and we'll try to see how DHCP can be monitored. Once this is done, we'll be try to understand how DHCP is being configured on in a cloud infrastructure. Do we really need a DHCP service on in a cloud infrastructure? Now, right now we understood the moment when you planning for assigning an IP address. This numbers is been already you're familiar. I don't think so. I need to give a separate sessions on IP address yet. So already you're familiar, or you may be heard about this IP address topic here. Now I'm discussing about a two topics here. Uh, why do we need a DHCP in a real-time scenario here? So first method is been knowing as a manual IP address here. So what do you mean by manual IP address here? Manual IP address means that the moment when you install a computer here, for example, let me take you into a portal. Let me log in here. So look like a password is been not taken. Let me retype the password. Give me a second. I'm just trying to connect to Microsoft Cloud Portal. Right now, we've been connected into a cloud portal here. Let me type the password here. OTP has been needed. Give me a second. Uh, Mark, you're not able to see the screen. Right now, I'm been sharing a screen here. Uh, Audio has been not clear. Uh, Mic test. Mic test. Yeah, thank you. So I was connecting to Azure portal in between. Password was not taking, so I was just trying to uh, sort it out that issue. So because it was password was not taking. Yeah. So right now you can able to see I'm trying to connect to Microsoft portal. I'm just trying to show you how static IP address is been. Generally, it's been assigned here. Um, we have a couple of servers is been hosted or it's been configured on in a cloud infrastructure here. So let me uh, reconnect here. So let me connect to one of the VM or one of the server which has been hosted here. Let me have a servers here. Yeah, I think I already have a server is been available here. Let me connect to that server here. Yeah. So right now you can able to see here we have a server is been configured here. So right now I'm showing you how IP address is being generally it's been configured here. Right now you can able to see if I need to take a RDP or if I need to use this server, I need to have a connectivity between the servers here. Now, how IP address is being assigned here because all of us already understood if I need to make a communication or a connection to the server, we need to have a IP address. Now, generally, if you take any server, there are two mechanisms or there are two methods we are using for making a connection. If you go to network connection, where generally we are assigning an IP address. If you go to ncpa.cpl, generally the IP address has been assigned on in a network interface card here. In case if you want to assign an IP address here, right now the server is been a cloud. That's the reason automatically the IP address is been assigned here. So the moment when you take a on-premises server or any server which has been hosted on in a Hyper-V or a VMware or any other infrastructure, for assigning an IP address, generally the IP address is been assigned on in a network interface card. So if someone want to assign an IP address, that will be assigned on in a network interface card here. The moment when you take a network interface card, you will be getting a properties here. The moment when you take here, you have an option for giving it IP version 4, or you will be getting an option for configuring IP version 6 as well. So if you take a server here, in the properties in the networking tab, left side you may be able to see IP version 4 and IP version 6 also. If you want to enter into the connection, you can remember a shortcut here. Generally, uh, you can just go to control panel and take it, or if you're good in remembering a commands, you can type a command called ncpa.cpl. So this is a shortcut you can remember. So when you enter this command, this will take you into a network connection window. Now, once you entered here, uh, generally you will be getting an option here. Obtain IP address automatically here. And second one is been like use the following IP address. The moment when you select use the following IP address, what technically happening? As an administrator, I need to assign IP address manually based on the IP schema which I'm using on in my organization. Based on that, I may have to enter the IP address here. For example, like I may have to enter like 10.0.0.4. Then I need to give subnet mask. Then I need to give the preferred IP address. So it's been very easy, right? You need to go to network connection and manually I need to give a IP address. So how comfortable you are with this manual IP address? Can you comment it on in the chat? Is there any challenge or concern you are seeing here? Can you comment it on in the chat? Now you are in a customer place. Customer has been using uh, manual IP address. How comfortable you are with giving manual IP address? Is it easy or it's been like uh, is there any challenge or a concerns you have? Krishna is saying it's easy and it is a best here. Okay, it's easy. Okay. Sometimes it's been tough because it's been very difficult to find the IP address. Okay. Now let me give you a couple of scenarios in front of you here. One option has been like Krishna and Muhammad has been placed in a one project. Now you're both told Krishna and Muhammad, you need to assign IP address to 10,000 computers here. It's been placed in a different buildings, different locations. Now, Krishna, tell me, is it easy or it's been difficult? Now, I'm just giving a scenario here. Krishna and Muhammad is been placed in a location or in a project where we need to assign 10,000 devices are there, 10,000 VMs are there, or 10,000 uh, computers are there. Now, you're both told, Kishan, you need to go and um, assign an IP address. Yes. So, yes. So, if you're seeing this kind of a situation, assigning an IP address to individual computer is be not going to be a easy one here. The reason behind it's like we need to go behind each computer or each desktop or each workstation or each server, and we need to connect to log into each server, and we need to give a IP address, right? So you may be finding a lot of manual efforts, right? I hope you are agreeing with this point, right? 10,000 computer, I need to track it. I need to go behind each computer and I need to give IP address. So manual efforts, it's going to be a bit high here. Second point, it's been like now in the midnight, you are giving this one. Now instead of 10.0.0.6, by mistake, human errors also will happen, right? For example, like we are using a IP range 10.0.0. Series. By mistake, region is being given 10.1. Series. So there is a chance of giving a wrong IP address also, right? It's not a purposefully. There is a chance of human errors also, right? Because in the midnight or in the because last 2 3 days continuously we are giving IP address without sleeping, there is a chance of giving wrong IP address also. So there is a risk is involved. So if you are giving a wrong IP address or a wrong IP schema, you will not be able to communicate each computer here, because one network or one device may be working on a different IP address. Second one is been working within a different IP schema. So you will not have any position or you will not be able to communicate to network each other here. So there is a chance of human errors. Now, another scenario here, you have it's been like um, you are assigning IP address manually here. Now, Mark is been using one computer here. So we have been assigned 10.0.0.4 IP address to Mark. Now, after 1 month, Mark is resigned from this company. Mark has been resigned from this company. Still, Kishan and Suman and Sujit is thinking this IP address has been reserved for Mark, because one option has been like if I need to track the IP address, how generally I can able to do a daily morning. I need to go behind each computer. I need to take an Excel sheet. I need to take an attendance. Is there any computer available? What is the IP address is using? So right. So tracking of a IP address or tracking of the device in a complex infrastructure is we not going to be easy, right? So because Mark is resigned here, and still we are thinking like Mark is been using this IP address, and we are still not utilizing this IP address here. So in case if one user is been moving from one department to another department, or if there is any frequent movement happening from one department to another department, it's been very difficult for me to track that IP address here, right? It's been very difficult as an administrator to track an IP address, which IP address currently it's been using and which IP address is been not using. It's been very difficult for us to track it here. So technically, if you are speaking in a summary, if you take a static IP address or a manual IP address, all the IP address is been assigned manually here. But the problem here you need to remember here, in case if you are using the IP address here, all IP address is been assigned manually. There is a chance of human errors giving a wrong IP address, and there is a chance of improper communication. Like in case if there is someone is been giving a wrong IP address, there is a chance of giving conflict. There is a chance of giving same IP address to different computer. So there is a chance of conflict also. And it's been very difficult for me to track the frequent movement of one computer to another computer also. So these are the few points about manual IP address or static IP address here. Now, let me pause it here. Uh, in case if you have any questions, let's have a discussion here. Any questions from anyone? Now we have getting a couple of, yeah. Any questions from anyone? Numan is asking a question here. In which scenario we can able to go for a manual IP address method? Numan, basically, if your infrastructure or your uh, complexity of your organization is more, that kind of a situation, you can able to go for a manual method. For example, like if you have an organization where you have only 20 or a maximum 100 computers are available, so that kind of a situation, you may be able to go for a manual IP address here. Otherwise, it will be tough for you to manage, or it'd be tough for you to maintain the infrastructure. I hope it's been clear. If you are in a LAN of less machine, exactly, Maras. So if you have a LAN with a less number of computers and the complexity has been not has been less, or because you have a number of the machines is been using very less, then you can able to go. Is it possible to assign an IP address to a router port so that just a plug and play the LAN cable they can assign an IP address? There are some L3 switches got a capability of assigning or a DHCP service. So the moment when you connect, some access point or a router having that facility. I know Mark may be connecting uh, for attending this session using an access point, right? So you have a router has been available in your home. That's called a Wi-Fi access point. How your IP address is been assigned? The moment when you connect to SSID or a Wi-Fi access point, your router, which has been available inside your home or in your office, it's been distributing an IP address from the router. So if your L3 switch or a router got a facility of DHCP service, they'll be able to distribute the IP address from the router. Uh, the point you need to remember here, Mark, DHCP is not a service of Windows servers or a 2019 or a 2022. This feature can be available in all the server operating system, and you can able to see almost all network devices and network service as well. Uh, from a security point of view, you can go for a um, automatic IP address domain. That may be the right approach, because in case if you are using a DHCP, you have a couple of security option can also be integrated here. So um, it's been easy. It's better to go for a automatic way here. Okay. Now we understood about how manual IP address has been working. Now let's try to understand how automatic IP address has been working here. Now, right now, if you go to a computer here, for example, like you have a server available here, you may be able to a screen. Yeah. So right now, you may be able to see a network interface card property screen here. If you click on the first option, you may be able to see an option called obtain IP address automatically here. So the moment when you click on the obtain IP address automatically, so that kind of a situation, rather than giving IP address manually, this will be connected to a service available inside your LAN that is known as a DHCP. Uh, so this will be contacted to a nearest server uh, who can able to provide a IP address that basically known as a DHCP. So the moment when you click obtain IP address automatically, a couple of actions or a couple of process will happen backend on in your system that basically known as DORA process. Something there may be a cartoon is available in internet. DORA, not that DORA. This basically known as discover, offer, then release and acknowledgement. So this kind of a process happening on in the backend, and your client will be getting an IP address. Who will be providing this IP address? This will be provided by a service called DHCP. So this DHCP can be hosted in a different way here. Let me connect it here. Let me give you a scenario here. I hope you can able to see a whiteboard. Now, in your home, um, you have a laptop available. You have a mobile also available. So the moment uh, when you connect to a Wi-Fi access point, you may be having SSID has been available, right? The Wi-Fi access point. The moment when you connect to Wi-Fi access point, technically what is happening? This has been connecting to nearest router, or in your home, you may be having something called access point, right? You will have a access point will be available, right? So this access point will be enabled with a service called DHCP service. So this access point will have DHCP service has been available. So that will be distributing IP address to all the clients in your home. Now, when it is coming on in a large or in a office network, instead of access point, for example, like you have a n number of workstation has been available. For example, like you have a couple of workstations. You have VM1 or VM2. You have a couple of desktops are available. Now, instead of giving manual IP address to all these computers here, you will be placing a server inside your network. This will be installed with the Windows Server 2090 or a 2022 with an server operating system. And top of that, you will be enabled a service called DHCP. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So dynamic host configuration protocol will be enabled here. Now that's in the case of a on-premises one. So on-premises scenario, you will have a DHCP service is been available. Now, when it is coming on in a cloud, you don't need any separate DHCP server. For example, like in a cloud scenario, for example, like if you configured, for example, like in a cloud scenario, you have a couple of Windows Server 2019 or a 2022 or a couple of VMs is been hosted in a cloud. Uh, in an on-premises scenario, we found the IP address is been released with the help of a DHCP. But when it is coming on in a cloud, you don't need to go for a DHCP on in a cloud. There, the IP address will be configured with the help of a concept called VNet. There is a service available, network service has been available called VNet that will act like a DHCP. So this the moment any VM which is been configured on in a cloud, automatically this will be getting an IP address from a VNet. So we'll try to cover both the topics here. So we'll try to see how DHCP is being configured on in a on-premises. We'll try to see how IP address is being configured on in a VNet also. Both the scenario you can able to see it here today. So we try to understand about both the scenario here. Now, couple of messages are on for a network. There is a feature in DHCP called reserved IP address code. Yes. So for a server, I think it's static. Yes. So when I'm coming to that point, something called reserved IP address, and there is something called exclusion range also. So there is some concept is been coming. I'll be touching all that point here. So I'll be covering that topic here today. Now, right now we are trying to understand two scenarios here. One is called an on-premises scenario, and second one has been the way how this has been configured in a cloud scenario also here. So, so end of this session, you need to understand. In case if you want to go for a automatic IP address on in a cloud, IP address are automatically supplied with the help of a service called DHCP. And since the IP address, how DHCP is being configured here, the moment when you configure a DHCP, in the DHCP service, you will be defining something called pool. So manually, I need to define that. Uh, so I need to, DHCP is being not a intelligent service here. So what is the IP address I need to use inside my organization? That needs to be defined or that's been designed by myself only. So if anyone want to use this IP address here, you need to have a IP address to be configured or the pool needs to be configured on in a DHCP. That's called DHCP pool. So when you configure DHCP, a couple of our common concern is been addressed here. So when you go for a manual IP address, we had an issue of frequent movement or giving an IP address automatically. These are the few concerns we had. So all that issue has been got resolved inside the DHCP service here. So the moment when you connect it here, so automatically this DHCP got a option of tracking, or it's been giving IP address with the help of a lease duration. So that couple of action has been performed here. We'll try to see how this has been generally the IP address has been assigned here. So end of the session, you need to understand uh, DHCP has been helping us to reduce the manual effort. So when you go for a complex infrastructure, especially if you are working on in a 2019 or a 2022, and if you have a large amount of the client is been available, you can go for a DHCP service. Now this DHCP service can be integrated with the DNS, and this can be integrated with the Active Directory also. So we'll try to see one by one. Now, when you configure a DHCP here, now how DHCP is being assigned an IP address here. Now, how DHCP is being assigned an IP address here? That's an important question here. So the moment when you install a DHCP service, the moment when you start a DHCP service, you need to enable this DHCP service first. Okay, if you go to a server, uh, yesterday you may be seen a tab called, in case if you have a server is been available here, you need to enable inside a place called server manager. By default, your DHCP has been not enabled in a Windows Server 2019 or a 2022. In case if you want to configure a DHCP service inside your organization, you need to enable this service here. So you need to go to server manager, and you need to go inside something called roles, add roles and services. You can able to see something called DHCP server here. You can able to see a check mark here, right? You can able to see something called DHCP server here. So from here, you need to enable here. So the point you need to remember here, the moment when you install or the moment when you configured Windows Server 2019 or a 2022, by default, DHCP service is been not enabled. So at any point of time, uh, your organization is thinking like, I need to distribute the IP address automatically uh, using a DHCP service. Then you have to go for it. You need to enable it using a server manager here. So the moment when I enable here, you can able to see an option for adding here. I'll be getting a option for tick mark here. So the moment when I start this, this will be created a database inside the server here. So you can able to see there will be a database will be created here. What is the use of a database? This database will be holding the complete information about the client. Whatever IP address the computer is been or the DHCP server is been releasing. Uh, how this generally is been working. Now I have a computer available in the network. In the computer, if you click an option called automatic private IP address, this will be connected to a nearest DHCP server. DHCP server will assign IP address. So all this information, where this has been saved, this will be saved inside a place called DHCP database. So the moment when you install a DHCP service inside a server, there is a database has been created inside your system32 folder here. Now, how IP address has been uh, given, or how this is being retained, that IP address, there is a two processes been happening. One is being known as lease generation, and second one is being known as a lease renewal. So there is a two processes been happening on in a client. One is being known as a lease generation, and second one is being known as a lease renewal also. So you have a lease generation also it's been available, and you have a lease renewal also available. So we'll try to understand what is the difference between lease generation, and we'll try to see how lease renewal has been happening here. Now, let me give you a scenario here. I hope you can able to see the screen here. Okay. Now, yeah, no need of filling up the attendance today, because already if you attended last 4 days, you don't need to fill the attendance today. Now, right now you can able to see on the screen. Uh, there is a couple of workstation is been mentioned here. You have a workstation VM1. Let's take a couple of workstations here. Workstation 1, workstation 2, and workstation 3. Now, in a workstation, for example, like let's take a one workstation here, DHCP client. I'm discussing about a topic called how IP address is being assigned here. So that process is basically known as lease generation. How lease generation is been happening, how IP address is been released, or how IP address is been assigned into a computer here. So that is the topic right now we are discussing here. Now, the moment when you start a computer here, for example, like if you connect to a computer here, for example, give me a second, let me connect to the, for example, like let me connect to the first server here. You already have a computer here. Let me connect to that. Just give me a second. Let me connect to that. Just give me a second. Now, for example, like you have a DHCP client here. For example, like if you go to a remote desktop. Now, assume this is one of your client. Now, in one client, the moment when you type obtain IP address automatically, for example, like in the Ethernet port, you selected the IP address option is been obtain IP address automatically. So because I don't have any, I don't want to go for any kind of um, manual method here. So I selected the option called obtain IP address automatically here. So the moment when you select this option, technically this will be sending a broadcast packet. What is that? It's been sending a broadcast packet because if I need to get an IP address from any computer which has been available in the network, right now I don't know who is my DHCP server here, right? So technically, how this will be assigned an IP address here. The moment when you select an option called IP address obtained automatically, this will be sending you a broadcast packet. It will be sending a broadcast packet to the all network here, uh, asking, hey, computer, I'm a DHCP client. Please provide me an IP address. So this will be sending a broadcast packet. Why this is a broadcast packet? Any idea? What is the reason why this is a broadcast packet? Can you comment it on in the chat? Why this is a broadcast packet? Why this is not a multicast, or why this is not a unicast packet? Any idea? What is the reason? Can you just comment it on in the chat? The reason it's been like, right now I don't know who is my server, right? The moment when you connect a process here, right now I don't have any information about who is my DHCP server available in the network. So that's the reason I'm sending a packet into the entire network, asking all the computers inside the system, asking, I'm looking for an IP address. Please help me to get an IP address here. You're getting the point here. So the moment when you click on a DHCP uh, discover packet, I'll be sending a packet to the all computers in the network. It's a broadcast packet, and it's asking all the computers inside the network saying that give me an IP address to me. You're getting the point here. So it's basically known as DHCP discover packet. What is the purpose of this? This has been working. It's been trying to understand the discovery of your DHCP server. So you don't need to do anything manually here. Okay. So the moment when you send a DHCP discover packet, all this action is being performed on in the backend. You don't need to worry about what is the packet or what is the Ethernet header is been going. Generally, this will have a if you take a header here, your source IP address. When if you take a DHCP discover packet, uh, you maybe heard about Ethernet header here. So your Ethernet header will have source IP address will be, if you take a source IP address will be 0.0.0 because I don't have any IP address here. And your destination IP address will be, since I don't know the who is the destination IP address, so I'll be sending a broadcast packet. So my destination IP address will be 255.255.255.255. And what will be my destination mark? Since I don't know who is my destination site, so destination MAC will be, I'll be giving fff.fff.ff broadcast packet, and my source MAC address will be MAC address of this computer here. So the moment when you click automatic IP address, it's been initiating a packet here, and it's been sending or connecting to or talking to everyone in the network here, asking, tell me, give me an IP address to me. I'm looking for a DHCP service. So what technically system will do? This computer will tell, sorry boss, thank you for good morning, happy new year. I received your request, but unfortunately I'm not a DHCP server. I don't have any option to give IP address. So this computer will reject it. What about this computer? Since this computer also it's been not a DHCP server, this computer also, thank you for sending this one. this will be rejected here. Now, any server who is being configured a DHCP servers here, for example, like in your organization, if there is any DHCP server has been hosted, only that computer will respond back. So thank you, I received your request. So both the server, in case if you have a both the server is available, they will be sending, it's a first in first out. Okay, so they will be sending a request. So they'll be sending a broadcast packet that basically saying that DHCP offer packet. Now your DHCP server, not sure from where we got a message here. So this will be sending a reply back to the Indian network saying that I'm a DHCP server. I have authority or I have rights to give an IP address here. So they will be responding back to that request with a packet code DHCP offer packet. Now, when you take a DHCP offer packet here, when you take a DHCP offer packet here, DHCP offer packet, if you take here, DHCP offer packet will have source IP address of the DHCP server and destination IP will be broadcast one, destination IP, since the client is been not configured with any IP address. So destination IP address, they will be mentioned as a 255.255.255, and source MAC will be MAC address of the DHCP server, and destination MAC will be already it's received a uh, MAC address from the server, right? Uh, MAC address from the client, right? So they will be mentioned destination MAC will be the client MAC. So all these computers will receive a request. So they will understand this request is or the response from the DHCP server was not to me because this already have a details about a MAC in the Ethernet header here. So they will be discarded. So the moment DHCP it's been responded, only this client who requested your DHCP request, they will receive the packet. So only they will receive. Rest all computers will be discarded here. So let me pause it here in case if you have any question on this. So right now we have a two um, concept is been available. One is been like you have a um, DORA process is the uh, um, concept or a process we are using. So in the first in the DORA process, the first part is been like a discovery. It's been sending a packet into the network. Second one is been like it's been DHCP server has been responding here. Let me pause it here for taking a questions from you. Any questions from anyone here so far? Any questions or any confusion here? You have a log file is been available, Numan. DHCP log. Uh, you may be remembering the last slide. We discussed about a database file, right, Numan? DHCP database. So inside that folder, there will be a log file is been created. So what is the IP address is been assigned on each day. It's been tracked inside a DHCP log file. There is a log file is been created inside your system32 folder. Generally, you will not have any two DHCP server configured in the same network here. Basically, there is a concept called DHCP authorization for avoiding this kind of conflict. For example, like uh, that's a good point from Numan. For example, like if what will happen if two DHCP server is been configured on in the same network. So obviously, half of the client or whoever is been responding first, uh, that computer will be getting IP address from one computer, one DHCP server. Second one will be getting from the second server also. So there are two scenarios Numan will be following in a complex infrastructure that basically known as 80-20 rule here. Christian and Numan, that basically known as a 80-20 rule here, because instead of depend on one server, you will have a concept of 80-20 rule. Um, then with the help of that, you can able to configure here. How to configure DHCP failover on in the same network? For us, it's been like from Windows Server 19 and 2022. DHCP itself having a option of configuring a failover cluster from the DHCP service itself. Previously, if you take a olden days, we used to configure with the help of a on top of a uh, failover cluster feature here. But when it is coming on in a 2019 and 2022, in the DHCP service itself, you have an option for configuring a failover cluster. So the advantage is been like if one DHCP server is been down, with the help of the second DHCP server, you will be able to respond to the client request here. So you have an option of configuring that. Okay. Now, let me go to the next packet here. Right now, if you can able to see here, we have received an offer packet here. Um, you have DHCP offer packet is been. Is it possible to DHCP server possible? Can you just rephrase your question, Julius? That means there is an HA option has been available. Yes, yes, we have an HA option has been available here. Uh, by default in the 2019 and 2022, you have an option of failover cluster. uh, you need an Active Directory is being available in the network. So with the help of that, you have an option of failover cluster here. So with the help of that, you can able to share a common database. If one DHCP service is being down, you can able to go forward. You can able to recover from the second service here. So you have an option of HA feature is being available here. Okay. Now coming on into the DHCP DORA process. Right now your DHCP server has been responded here, saying that I'm the DHCP server available in the network. Now your client who has been requested the IP address, they will be responding back to the DHCP server uh, saying that I'm requesting for an IP address, because right now your DHCP client understood there is a DHCP server has been available here. So they will send you or they will initiate another uh, packet here that basically known as DHCP request packet. So the moment when you install here, uh, this will send you or this will initiate another packet here that's called DHCP request packet. It's been asking the same DHCP server, thank you for your offer packet. Right now I'm looking for an IP address. So that packet name is being known as a DHCP request packet. So what your server will do, uh, your server will respond into a client with a IP address. So that basically known as acknowledgement packet. So this acknowledgement packet will have IP address and subnet mask. The computer who requested that, uh, they will be getting an IP address from the DHCP server. So the last process is called acknowledgement packet. This acknowledgement packet will have IP address and subnet mask by default. Okay. If you want to add additional information like a DNS or DHCP server or gateway server or any Win server details or any additional information if you want to add, you have an option for adding that information also here. So by default, the moment acknowledgement packet is been configured or the moment your DHCP server is been responded in the acknowledgement packet, by default you will have two information. One is been like a IP address and second one is been like your subnet mask. Now one important point you need to remember here. Right now, if you take all this DORA process, why this is called DORA process? Uh, D stands for discover, offer stands for offer, R stands for request, and A stands for acknowledgement. If someone is asking how DHCP has been working, it's very easy to remember here. DORA. So it's been easy for you to understand. D stands for discover, O for offer, R for request, A for acknowledgement here. So with the help of a DORA process, uh, the IP address has been assigned to the computer here. Now, one point you need to remember here, if you take all DORA process, you maybe notice like all this packet is been sending in a broadcast way. Now, the point you need to remember, this broadcast packet will go up to router only. Okay, if you have a network available, this network is being connected to a router, this packet we won't go outside your router, because each router will have if you take any router in your organization, by default, all routers in the network, by default, it will block broadcast packet. So that's a very important point you need to remember. In case if your DHCP has been configured in a different network and your client is in another network, by default, you will not be able to get a IP address from a DHCP server. You need to configure something called DHCP relay agent. The reason is been like by default, your router available in the network is been by default it's been blocking um, DHCP broadcast packet here. So we'll try to understand that how to configure a DHCP relay agent also here. Now, end of the session, you need to understand how DHCP has been configured here, or how DHC has been providing an IP address. It's been providing with the help of a concept called DHCP lease generation process. How lease generation process has been happening with the help of a couple of a standard process that's called a DORA process. It's been sending a broadcast packet that has been initiated from a client. Based on that, your DHCP servers also it's been responded to that. Is it clear now? Any questions, anyone? Yeah. Now, if you right now on the screen, I tried to add a couple of point here. If you take a Ethernet header, what will be your source MAC and what will be a destination MAC? This will be helpful for you just to try to understand what will be the IP address or Ethernet header generally you have. So I try to add a couple of points here. One is called a discover here, offer here, request, and what will be the source MAC and destination MAC on each packet. So this presentation I'll share with you. So this information will be helpful for you. So this been added here, who initiating that, and what will be the source MAC, and what is the destination MAC, and what is the source IP address, and what is the destination IP address here. You may be able to see each packet here. Discover, offer, request, and acknowledgement also. In an offer packet, you may be seen already. Client is been initiating, and your source MAC address will be client MAC address. Destination, since I don't know, so I'll be adding the FFF is be the broadcast will be my destination MAC, and source IP address. I don't have any IP address here, so I'll be adding source IP address is a 0.0.0, and destination IP address, or I don't know the IP address of the destination DHCP server here. So I'll be adding 255.255 here. And offer also you can able to see in each category here. So here you can able to see who is been initiating that, and what will be the source MAC address and destination MAC address also here. Clear? If you're good, we'll go to the next topic called lease renewal process here. So before moving on into the lease, yeah, sure. So we'll take a 5 minutes coffee break. No problem, Numan. So we'll take a 5 minutes coffee break, and after break, we'll go for a lease renewal process. How lease renewal process has been happening, and how DHCP can be configured here also. Then we'll try to see how this has been configured on in the uh, cloud side as well. So thank you. Let's take a 5 minutes coffee break and come back. I hope we're all back. Requesting to confirm through the chat option. Yeah, thank you. So before break, we were discussing about how DHCP process has been working. Now, right now we understood the moment DHCP has been configured in your network. Dear DHCP has been responsible for distributing the IP address for your infrastructure. Now, how this has been distributed? It's been distributed with the help of a concept called DHCP lease. It's called a lease process, right? You may be seen in the last slide. Uh, Generally, it's been released with the help of a concept called lease generation. Now, when you take a lease process here, from the name itself, you may be able to identify. It's called lease. What do you mean lease? Lease means that IP address is been not permanently. You are not assigning to a client. You are giving for rent. You are giving for a lease. Lease means that only for a particular time you are assigning to a client. In case if the client is been not renewing that, for example, like when you take a driving license, right? If you take a driving license, you maybe notice like you got a license for or a passport for a 20 years or a 15 years, right? Generally, what will happen after 15 years or 20 years, you may have to go and renew your license, right? Like you maybe notice in your like when you go for a driving license, you maybe got license only for a particular period. After that X period, you may have to go and renew that. Similar way here also. Right now we understood DHCP is the service who has been responsible for assigning an IP address here. Now, the moment IP address is been released here, by default, IP address is been assigned only for 8 days. By default, Microsoft will be, if you take a Windows Server 2019 or a 2022, by default time that basically known as lease duration. What is that? It's called lease duration. So by default, your DHCP will be assigned only for 8 days. After 8 days, if the computer is been not renewing that, that IP address will be expired. So what is the advantage here? Because when you considered a manual method, one of the major concerns we had, it's been like a frequent movement of a computer. Uh, I was just giving an example, like Mark has been the same and Mark has been moving to a different department. Uh, we were thinking like that IP address still is being used by Mark, right? Similar way here, if the IP address is been not renewed within 8 days, I have an option or I have a flexibility to assign that IP address to another computer here. Now, how renewal has been happening here? When you go for a driving license or a passport, you maybe go to the concerned department or a respective department, and you may be giving an application, and your passport will be, or the driving license is being got renewed here. Similar way here also, whatever IP address you are getting from a DHCP, that will be renewed with the help of a concept called DHCP lease renewal process here. So let's see here. Um, right now we understood when you assign an IP address, by default you have an option of 8 days here. This is default one, okay? In case if you want to change 8 days to 80 days or 100 days, you have an option for increasing or decreasing your lease duration also. If you go to DHCP properties, you have a flexibility to change the lease duration time also. It's not mandatory that you need to keep it 8 days. Generally, in a normal production scenarios, we used to go for 8 days. But if someone is thinking like, no, I don't need to go for 8 days, I need to go for lesser than this, or if someone is thinking like, no, I need to go more than this, you have option for increasing or decreasing also here. Now if you go to lease renewal process here, um, right now we have 8 days is the lease duration is been by default, it's been configured here. So that day, for example, like you have a computer has been already got an IP address, for example, like this computer got 10.0.0.4 from a DHCP server. Now 50 percentage of the lease duration, 50% of the lease duration means, let's give an example here. Let me take you into whiteboard. Give me a second. Let me take you into whiteboard. Just give me a second here. Okay. I hope you can able to see whiteboard here. Now, I'm just giving a scenario here. You have a DHCP server available. This is your DHCP server, and this is your one of the workstation. Now, this workstation got an IP address of 10.0.0. Now, this got 8 days validity. So let me give you a scenario here. This is a date 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like this date is going. Now, by default, we understood whatever IP address it's been released from DHCP server, we are allowed to take only 8 days here, right? So that means the client will be able to use till Jan 8th here. I'm just giving a scenario here. For example, I think today has been Jan 1st, and today one IP address is been released. So in here, lease duration is 8 day here. So the client will be able to use till Jan 8 here. So your client won't be wait till Jan 8 here. What your client will do, uh, on the 50th percentage of your lease duration. Now, if you go back to your slide, what your system will do, this won't wait for uh, IP address to be released from the server here. So what your computer will do, what your client will do, 50 percentage of your lease duration. What do you mean 50 percentage? 50 percentage of 8 days. One means on the 4th day, it will send a request to DHCP server saying that, hey, DHCP server, good morning. I've already got an IP address of 10.0.0.4. And right now I've been reached the 50 percentage of the total one. Why can't you renew my IP address here? You're getting a point. So 50 percentage of a day, your client will send you a packet to a DHCP server saying that, hey, DHCP server, please renew my IP address here. That means on the 4th day, what your computer will do, computer will send you a DHCP request. Again, this will get another 8 days. So again, 8 days means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you got a release up to here. So like this way, every 50 percentage, the client will now till 12th you have a date, right? Now another lease duration 12 means that 6th day again it will send a packet to DHCP server saying that, last time you already renewed my this one, still I'm active on the network, still I need the same IP address. Why can't you upgrade my IP address? So again, another 8 days will add. So like this, we keep on adding the lease duration in the network. Now we have a question here. Now on the 4th day, it's a Sunday, and unfortunately your DHCP server is been not available. Unfortunately, on the 4th day or in the 6th day or whatever day, the 50 percentage is been reached. That day, if the client computer or the DHCP server is been not available, for example, like my client is been not able to reach out to that day. So what will happen? In case if the 50 percentage of the day, if I'm not able to reach into my server, for example, like in the 50 percentage of the day, um, we understood the 50 percentage of the day. um, I hope you can able to see the screen here, right? 50 percentage of the day lease duration is happening. It's sending a lease request packet, and packet is been coming. Now in the 50 percentage of the day, uh, the server is been down, or if I'm not able to reach, uh, then next packet will be sending on the 88 percentage. That means 87.5%. It's not sending on the next day. This will wait another 1 or 2 days. 87 percentage of your lease duration, the packet will be again the request packet will be sent. For example, like in the 50 percentage of the day, the server is been not available or not able to connect. The next request or renewal packet will be sending you on the 87.5%. 5% of the day. I hope it's been clear now. Now on the 87% of the day also, you are not able to renew or you are not able to communicate, then you will be able to use 100%, and on the 8th your IP address will be released. So your IP address will be released into a something called APIPA. You may be heard about a term called APIPA, automatic private IP address here. So there are some situation you may be seen in your computer. One IP address you may be represented with 169.254.x.x. So this is basically known as automatic private IP address. Basically, this is a class B IP address. Class B IP address, and it's basically you are getting in case if your DHCP server is been not able to release the IP address, or your client is being not able to assign or is not able to get IP address from the DHCP server. Basically, the server itself or the client itself will be generated an IP address that's basically known as a APIPA address. So with this IP address, you won't be able to communicate to other network here. System is been automatically generating an IP address that basically knowing as a APIPA address. That's 169.254.x.x. And you may be familiar with another IP address also in the network, something called 127.x.x. What is this 127 series? Can you comment it on in the chat? Have you heard about 127 series IP address? What is the use of this IP address? Can you comment it on in the chat? Yeah, basically this is known as loopback IP address here. What is the use of a loopback IP address here? Any idea? What is the use of a loopback IP address? So Miraz has been typing. This is being using for a testing purpose. What is the type of the testing here? Uzaini has been typing. This is for checking a network interface card. Okay. NAC has been installed properly or not. Okay. Okay. We are getting few answers. Can you comment it on in the chat? What is the use of a loopback IP address here? So this is one of the when you type. I hope you can able to see a screen here. Let me maximize. Yeah. Yeah. So at the moment when you type 127.0.0.1, what is the meaning of this? If you're getting a response here, uh, most of the time, um, almost everyone has been having a perception that this is for checking your network interface card. No, this is not for checking your network interface card. You take a system where you don't have a network interface card also. If you able to ping to 127 series, if you're getting a response, the meaning is the TCP IP protocol or the TCP IP stack is been working properly inside the operating system. So if you take the chat itself, most of the members has been commented this is for checking a network interface card. No, that is a common mistake all of us are following. No, this is not for checking your network interface card. This basically for checking TCP/IP protocol, because how the IP address has been working here, we are using a TCP/IP protocol here. If you're getting a response with a ping 127 dot series, you can understand the server which currently you're using having a TCP/IP is been working properly or not. So the TCP/IP stack is been working properly or not. Is not nothing to do with your network interface card. So when you go for a troubleshooting one, the first activity which you need to do is like you need to verify the operating system TCP/IP protocol is been working or not. So how generally this has been tested? This has been tested with the help of a loopback IP address. So this nothing to do with your network interface card. So a few people is already commented here. This is for checking your network interface card. No, this is basically for checking your TCP/IP protocol. Clear? That may be a new information for you. So because even a few years before me also thinking that this is for checking for network interface card. No, this is completely for checking your device here. Clear? Yeah. So thank you. Um, so right now we understood a couple of points here. One is called a loopback IP address. We heard about a topic called automatic private IP address also here. Now let's try to create a DHCP service here. Then we'll go to cloud also. Now before moving on this, there's one more point I'll take you. That's called a DHCP relay agent. Now I'm just giving a scenario, especially if you're working on in a complex infrastructure, you have a multiple building or multiple departments are available. That kind of a situation, you may be having a router maybe or a DHCP server maybe placed in one network, and all your clients may be in another network. So right now you may be understood the moment when you um, the client it's been sending a broadcast packet. For example, like if you see here, um, by default, your broadcast packet will be blocked in a router side. So for example, like if you have a client here, I'm just giving a scenario like your DHCP server is been placed in another network. Now, the moment when you send a broadcast packet, this broadcast packet will reach only to this network. As long as in your router, if you enabled a feature called DHCP relay agent, I'm just giving a scenario. uh, you are working for a complex project, you have a multiple departments are available. Now your DHCP server is being hosted in a different network, and all the departments or the branches are connected using a router here. Now when you want to connect each other, and the moment when you one client from a one department is been trying to connect to a DHCP server which is been hosted in another network, by default, your packet won't be reached to another network. The reason it's been like you have a router is been available in between your branch offices or in a different network. So you need to enable a feature called DHCP relay agent. So this point you can remember or you can keep in your mind, especially when you're going for a troubleshooting uh, aspects. For example, like you're working for an organization, customer is saying like uh, raise a ticket saying that they are not getting an IP address. So you can able to identify this is the reason behind that, because your router is been by default it's been blocking the broadcast packet. By default, router will allow only the unicast packet here. So in your router, you have to enable something called as a unicast feature here. So if the unicast is been enabled, then only you'll be able to communicate from one network to another network, especially onto that DHCP server. So this one important point you can remember or you can keep in your mind. Now, let me give you another scenario also here. Now, few minutes before, someone has been asking, what will happen if there is a two DHCP server is been available in the network? I think before a break, someone has been commented here. Now, generally, if you take a large or a complex organization, uh, avoiding a conflict, just give a scenario like you have a two DHCP server has been available, two DHCP server has been configured with a different IP schema. There is a chance of giving or there is a chance of both the DHCP server is been responding on in the same time. There is a chance of uh, half of the client in the network is getting IP address from one DHCP server. Half of the client is been getting IP address from the second server also. For avoiding this kind of a conflict, in your organization will be using one concept called DHCP authorization. For example, in your organization, if you have a multiple DHCP server has been available in your domain controller, that's something called Active Directory. In your Active Directory, you will enable something called DHCP authorization. You are enabling or giving a authorization to DHCP server saying that only one server only can able to respond. Only that server will be having rights to give IP address here. How this is being configured? You need to add both the DHCP server into Active Directory, and the Active Directory you will be configuring something called a DHCP authorization here. Now, let me give you a scenario here. Right now, you can able to see our DHCP client has been sending a request. You may be able to see both the client or both the DHCP server. This DHCP client packet is been sending into both the DHCP server since it's a broadcast packet. But you may be able to see here only one DHCP server who is being authorized here. Right now, you can able to see the computer who has been authorized or the DHCP server has been authorized, only that is been responded here. So if you take a normal organization scenario, you will be implementing Active Directory, and for avoiding a conflict, you will be configuring DHCP authorization here. That's the way in the past we used to work. But right now, for providing a better redundancy or better HA feature, we used to configure right now a feature called failover cluster also. Because you think a scenario like you have it, one DHCP server has been available. Unfortunately, this server OS has been got crashed. You got a point here. You have a DHCP server is being hosted. Unfortunately, due to some X or Y reason, DHCP server is got crashed. So your network is been not able to get a IP address. Renewal process also it's been not happening here. For mitigating this kind of a feature, right now we have a uh, uh, option of giving or able to configure a feature called failover cluster in the server itself. On the DHCP itself, you have option for giving a failover cluster here. Yes, exactly. So mirrors that can be configured in a different way also. That can be configured like in a load balance also. Something called active mode also can be configured, and active passive also. Right now you put a scenario like if DHCP server is been failed, then DHCP2 is been acting. That's kind of a active passive also. In case if you want to configure something like active mode, both the DHCP server will be equally it's been start distributing that. So instead of um, working depend on one DHCP server in a round robin basis, both the servers will be uh, uh, responded to the client request here. So Erwin has been posted a nice pick on the chat. Yes, so DHCP is giving instead of a money, it's giving IP address here. So nice pick, Erwin. Thanks for that. So that's the way the DHCP has been uh, hosted or it's been configured here also. Now, before moving on into the practical side, any questions here? If you're good, can you just put a comment on in the chat? Yes, we'll be providing a recorded session for this, and PPT also will be provided. Can we configure it to specifics like AD users? There was a concept called NAP was there, Sumayanda, in the past, Network Access Protection. In the 2022, Microsoft has been removed that. We had a similar like in NAC. We had an option of NAP was available in the 20, 2016 we had. 2019 and 2022, they have been removed that. What is the reason behind that for removing? I need to refer that. Similar like in NAC, you had a something called a NAP kind of feature was available there. Network access protection to a specific user or someone is been connected to a network. First, they want to ensure that all the system has been uh, ensure that antivirus is being installed on a particular region. All this can be configured with the help of a concept called NAP, similar like NAC. Any question from anyone? If you're good, let's go for a installation of a DHCP server here. Let me take to a server here. Now, in case if you want to configure a DHCP service here, right now I'm trying to install it on in a cloud. So I have some limitation of configuring a client here. Okay. Right now I don't have any VMware workstation has been available here. So I'm just trying to show you how uh, DHCP can be installed on in a Windows Server 2019 or a 2022. Since I'm configuring on in a cloud, I have a limitation for connecting to a client computer here. So let me show you how this is being installed here. Then I'll show you how technically the cloud also has been working here. Uh, at any point of time, if you're thinking or if you want to configure a DHCP service, you need to take a RDP to that server and ensure that the server currently you're configuring has been configured with a static IP address also here. The first point, whenever you're going for configuring any DHCP server, the first mandatory thing that you need to configure a static IP address for your on server here. That's the first important point. You need to do it here. Now, right now I have a server here. I'm going to server manager. The moment if you want to install a service here, generally this has been done in a couple of methods. So one, it's been like if you're good in PowerShell, you can able to go for a PowerShell option. If you're interested in a GUI mode, you can go to the server manager option here. You can click on the DHCP server here. Click on the next, then it will ask you for do you want to install any feature. Currently I don't need any additional features here, so I'm just giving no. I don't need to go for any other feature along with the DHCP to be installed here. I'm just giving next, and it's been installation here. So just it's pretty much simple here, because the moment when you go for installation of a DHCP, you're not going to configure any specific details here. This typically just installing the service here. After the installation, all the on the configuration part is been done here. So right now you can able to see the installation has been started here. So right now the installation of the DHCP server is being started. Right now you can able to see installation is being completed on the server here. You may be able to see there is a message you are able to see it here. So I just given close. Now, on the top, you may be able to see there is a yellow color notification symbol you can able to see here. It's giving a message to the admin here. There's a red color, yellow color symbol you are seeing, saying that, hey, admin, there is some pending action you have. That's the reason you are getting a option here saying that you need to complete DHCP configuration here. So one option has been like the moment when you install DHCP, you can click on here and you can go for the complete DHCP configuration here. So this is one option here. So here you can able to configure all the users and all the configuration part here, or you can able to go inside something called DHCP console. Now, in case if I need to manage this, I'll be getting a separate console here. The console you can able to see from here. If you select the start menu, if you click on the administrative tool, you may be able to see there is this additional tool is being created here. That's called a DHCP console link here. If you click on the DHCP here, you can able to see there is a console or there's a management tool is being created here. So with the help of the DHCP management console, all the management or the configuration or a governance or the management or a monitoring, you will be able to do it from here. That's one option. Or if you're good in a shortcut, you can able to use a command called DHCP mgmt dot msc also. If you good in remembering a shortcut, you can able to type a command code DHCP mgmt dot msc. So the moment if you type, this will take you into console here. Right now, if you take a control here, you can able to see a couple of options here. Here you can able to see the server name, and here you can able to see there is a two option you are getting. One, it's been like you'll be getting an option for IP version 4, and second one, it's been like you'll be getting an option for IP version 6 also. So Windows Server 2019 and 2022, it's been supporting IP version 4 as well as it's been supporting IP version 6 as well here. Now, for configuring a DHCP on in a network, right now you may be seeing we have installed a service here, but we haven't done any kind of a configuration here. So how will you do that? Now, that depends upon what is the type of the IP version you want. So you have an option for configuring DHCP for IP version 4, as well as you have an option for configuring for IP version 6 also here. Now, in case if you want to configure for IP version 6, uh, right now we understood the IP address has been released from a DHCP server. Now, how your DHCP server will be knowing what is the IP schema I need to use it inside my organization? That basically configured with the help of a concept called scope. What is that? Basically knowing as a something called scope. Scope is nothing. You remember like you are configuring a pool. uh, don't confuse with what is a scope. Symbol you can just compare. Scope is nothing. You are defining a pool here. Let me take into a whiteboard here. Don't confuse here. Okay. Now let me take a screen here. Now I'm just giving a scenario here. You have a DHCP server is been available. You have a server is available. This server is being installed with operating system. On top of that, you have a DHCP server also available. Now I have a client is available. This client is been requesting for an IP address from a DHCP server. Now, from where your DHCP server will assign an IP address here. Now, how this is being defined? DHCP is not got any artificial intelligence here, right? So, as an admin, you need to define something called scope. Or you can just remember for your in a layman style, you can remember like something like a pool. You will be designing an IP address based on what is the IP address need to configure here. You need to enable a configuration here. Clear? I'm getting a couple of questions here. Uh, what IP address I want to share with the uh, DHCP? Uh, Ahad, can you just rephrase that question? I'm not uh, clear that. Can you just uh, rephrase that question here? What IP address I find to share with uh, Ahad, if you're hearing me, it's so. Can you just rephrase that? Now I have got another question here. How to solve encryption? Scope is what IP address if I want to share with IP address. Sorry, it is not. Abdul has been discussing about a Oracle. Right? This is a vulnerability. It's a RDP authentication error. So possible, Abdul, I'll take you in that question in a later stage. That's been different topic here. So you have an option for configuring a local policy also here. So in the local policy, in case if you have Oracle recommendation, if you want to do, there is an option to configure it. So there is a if you go to local policy, there you will be getting an option for encryption Oracle remediation. So you need to enable that. Possible like in the WhatsApp group, we can have a discussion around that. So I'll help you on that. If you can just connect me on WhatsApp, I'll help you on that. So that's a different topic. The connection or RDP authentication issue that generally we used to get in a normal operation way. So basically, our policy has been available. Now, what IP address will be allocated for the server itself? Numan, basically, when you go for the mod or for DHCP server, you will be assigning a static IP address for the DHCP. So that's what I'm saying. When you go into configure in a DHCP server, mandatory that you need to have a static IP address to be assigned based on your IP schema here, because you cannot have a random IP address for your DHCP server, right? So generally, if you take any production scenario, the server which has been designed or it's been going to use as a DHCP or a critical server always will be reserved an IP address here. So that will have a static IP address you will assigned. So you will have a standard or a static IP address will be assigned for your DHCP server. Yes. So Miraz is asking question, where can I put the IP address to assign to the client here? So Miraz, we are discussing that point only. That will be defined in a place called scope. In a scope, you will be defining an IP address here, saying that 10.0.0.1 to 10.0.0.10. That basically known as a scope. Scope means that you are defining a pool of IP address here. For example, like if you go to a server here, if you go to a server here, let me take you into a server here. Just give me a second. Let me take you into a portal here. Yeah. Right now, if you take a DHCP server, if you right click on IP version 4, you may be able to see something called scope here. So this is the place where you are defining your IP pool here. So you will be defining what is the range of the IP address you want. You will be assigning a name also. For whenever you're going for configuring a scope, you will be defining a name saying that this is for HR department. Now you give an IP address here 10.0.0.1 to 10.0.0.10. So technically, you may be able to see here. This is a subnet also, it's been automatically assigned here. So what will happen? Any computer or anyone who's been start communicating to my DHCP server. Right now, we can able to see the whiteboard here. We are defined a pool uh, inside your DHCP server. You defined a database here. In the database, you defined a scope. So the moment the first client is been asking, it's been sending a DORA process. This will be assigned 10.0.1. Right now, if the second computer has been connected, what will happen? This will give 10.0.0.2. If the third computer will connect, what will happen? This will give 10.0.0.3. So like this way, it will be keep on adding an IP address. It will keep on assigning an IP address here. Clear? So the moment when you connect to DHCP server, this will refer the scope, and from the scope, this will pick an IP address, and this will be assigned to the client here. Now, the moment when you have a scenario here, for example, like if the client computer 11 is being connecting, what will happen? Can you just comment it on in the chat? Now I have a scenario like right now the scope you have defined from 1 to 10 is being used. Now computer 11 is being connecting. What will happen? I don't have any IP address is been available here, right? When the DHCP server is been looking to the scope, currently I don't have any IP address is been available here. Now, in that kind of a situation, your DHCP server will respond back to the client saying that, sorry, boss, I don't have any IP address is been currently is been not available. So the operating system will generate a APIPA here. So this will create a APIPA address. Now, what is the length? Length is nothing, Numan. What is the subnet mask you need to use it here? So that is 8, because when you use it here, uh, class A IP address is generally having uh, subnet mask is been 255, right? So the first it's been just mentioning, or this been just configuring how many bits you want to use for a network ID. So that's been basically it's with the subnet mask. How many bits you want to use for a network ID? That's basically how many bits for the subnet mask you want to use it. So that is the length here. Yeah. So Ahat, right now, if the 11th computer 11 is been trying to connect it, since the scope is been defined from 1 to 10, 11th computer won't be getting any IP address from here. You have only one option here. One option is been like you may have to come back to the DHCP server here, and you need to reconfigure your scope into a large pool here. You need to increase your scope dimension here. You need to increase your pool of IP address here. Clear? Any questions here? If you're good, can you just comment it on in the chat window? Yes, expand, basically known as expansion here. Now, okay. Now, let me give you another scenario here. I'm coming to that point, Irvin. I'm coming to that point. I'm not completed the session here. Right now, just given a scenario of configuring a normal scope here. What is the process of connecting more than 1,000 PC in a DHCP? Obviously, someone you need to go for a class A IP address here. So that will have a large number of IP segment can be assigned here. How to set a different IP segment for a different department? Basically, Vincent, you can able to configure different NAC port into a DHCP server. Then use something called network interface card. You can able to bind with each scope here. So you can able to use that here. What about a two scope? I'll come to that. There is something called super scope. There is a two scope. There is something called super scope is been also available here. For example, like one scope is been full. You have an option for taking an IP address from second pool also. That is basically can be known as super scope. Now let me enable here. Right now I'm just giving option of giving next, and right now you may be able to see something called as add an exclusion. You'll be able to see something called exclusion also here. I'm just skipping this. I'll come to that point later. Exclusion. I'm just giving. There's something called a lease duration also here. Right now, you can able to see on the screen. This is the place you can able to set your lease duration here. So I was saying by default your uh, uh, IP address is been assigned to a client got a uh, expiry date, right? So by default, it's been 8 days is the time you have. In case if you want to set or rename your date, for example, like if you want to change into 8 days or 4 days, that you can able to do it from here. You have an option for rechanging, or you have an option for reconfiguring from here. In case if you want to reconfigure your leave duration, one option is been like at the time of a scope creation itself, you have option for creating, or second option is been like after creation of a DHCP also, you have option for reconfiguring also. So you have both options been available here. So this is the place you are setting or defining your lease duration here. Now, here you have something that's known as a DHCP option also. I'll come to these 2 points here. I'm just giving, let's all this option is been, um, I'm not configured that options here. Right now you can able to see there is a DHCP scope is being configured here. You can able to see there is a, let me maximize here. There's a maximum. I hope you can able to see the screen, right? Yeah. Yes. You're right, Numan. It's been 10 years. Now, right now you can able to see here. Many times from the field, we used to get a question here saying that, hey Robin, I've been configured DHCP server, but the client is not getting an IP address from the DHCP server. You know what is the reason here? Once your DHCP scope is been configured, by default, that scope will be in a deactivate mode. If you can able to see here, right now on the scope left side, you may be able to see there is a small red color down arrow symbol, right? uh, I'm not able to maximize the screen here. In case if you are able to see the screen here, near to the scope 10.0.0.0 left side, you may be able to see there is a pink color or a red color down sign, right? I'm not sure you're able to view that or not. there is a small downside you may be able to see here. The reason is be like uh, you configured a scope here, but it's been not activated. So the moment when you configure a DHCP, and if you configure a DHCP scope, you need to activate that scope here. As long as if you're not activated, you will not be able to assign an IP address here. So if you click here, you will be getting an option code, something called activate. So if you right click on that, you will be able to see something called activate here. So you called something called activate here. So it will be moving, or it's been changing from in a activate mode here. So in case if there is a option of um, or if you're getting a concern from a customer place, or you configured a DHCP server and you be not configured any kind of a or the client is been not getting any kind of a IP address. So the reason it's been like you don't have any kind of a the reason is like the change is been not configured in a kind of a activate mode. It's been not configured as a activate mode here. So that's the way generally it's been working here. I hope this has been clear here. Any question here regarding this? To scope 10.1 of it, how to manage the client to get IP from which scope? That basically it's been configured with a concept called NAZ binding. Okay, now let's take a 5 minutes break. After break, we'll be discussing about two topic called exclusion range, and we'll be discussing something about reservation also. Let's take a 5 minutes break and come back, and you will have a discussion about um, topic about um, exclusion and reservation also. Let's take a 5 minutes break. I hope you are back. If you're back, request you to confirm through the chat option. Okay. Now, we were discussing about a concept called scope. So the moment when you configure a DHCP, IP address is being released with the help of a pool here. So you'll be assigned with the help of a pool, and from the pool, the computer is being or the DHCP server will be assigned a IP address here. Now there are some situations. Right now you can able to see. Uh, you need to configure some exclusion. I'm just giving a scenario like there are two concepts been coming here. Let me take you into a whiteboard here. When you configure a DHCP, you defined a pool here saying that 10.0.0.1 to 10.0.0.1 to 10. This is the IP address pool you are configured, and from this pool your IP address is been distributing. Now there are two terms or there are two concepts is been coming on in uh, a DHCP concept. One is called reservation. One is called a reservation, and second one is called exclusion. Reservation means you are working for an organization. There you are following some kind of a standard practice or a standard IP schema. So as per the company, you are getting or you have a exchange server is been available, or you have a print server is been available. You have a printer is been available. This has been configured as a network printer. In your office, you may be using a network printer, right? At the moment when you want to give a printout, we used to give a used to locate the network location and used to give the printer details and used to print it here. Now, the moment when you want to configure a network printer, uh, you don't want to go for any kind of a lease renewal, or you don't need to go for any kind of a lease generation process here. You need to ensure that always this printer needs to have a IP address of 10.0.0.10. I don't need to change this because I have a 10,000 users has been available here. All their computer or their workstation is been configured with a printer software pointing to this 10.0.0.10. In case if any changes happening on this IP address, there is a chance of outages, or there is a chance of lot of escalation in my office. I hope you got the point. You're working for an organization. You have some critical devices or a critical servers are available there, and you need to ensure that you don't need to depend on any kind of a lease renewal or lease generation. You need to reserve an IP address to a particular device. So what will happen? Always that IP address will be assigned to only with that device here. So this is something like when you travel in a flight, you are booking your seat, right? You are reserving your seat. When you travel in a train, you're reserving your seat. Similar way, in a DHCP also, you are reserving a IP address for particular workstation, particular server, or a particular network device here. How this has been configured? This has been configured with the help of a concept called DHCP reservation. Be configured with the help of a concept called DHCP reservation. Now, in case if you want to configure a DHCP reservation, you need to have something called MAC address. You need to have something called MAC address. You want to reserve an IP address for a particular workstation or a server or a device. you need to collect physical address or a MAC address from that device. For example, like you have a network printer is available. Always you need to ensure that this printer has been getting 10.0.10 in the DHCP. You need to configure a DHCP reservation. Uh, where you will be configuring this? You go to DHCP option. If you go to DHCP computer here, if you go to DHCP network here, take a DHCP console. There you can able to see a tab called reservation tab here, right? You may be able to see something called in the left side, something you can able to see called reservation here. Now, now you are defining from this scope, whatever scope you have been configured here, this has been coming inside a scope. Okay, inside if you have a multiple scope is being configured, each scope will have an option for adding a reservation also here. Now, if you take here, if you add a reservation, you can able to give the name for your reservation here. For example, like this is for network printer. So you can able to give the network printer and what is the IP address you want to reserve for that device here. I'm saying like always this needs to have a 10.0.10. And the moment when you want to add here, it's mandatory that you need to provide IP address, sorry, you need to provide a physical address or a MAC address of that particular device here. So if you know the MAC address, you need to type the address here. So right now you will be getting a error message here because the moment if I try to add without a MAC address, I'll get an error message here. So you need to ensure that the moment when you want to add any computer with a preservation, you need to have a physical address details to be available. How will you get that physical address? One option is like if you are taking a network printer from the printer properties, you will be able to get it. If it is a normal computer, if you go to ipconfig /old, this is the command if you are typing, you may be able to see there is a physical address detail is been given here. You may be able to see there is a MAC address has been mentioned on each workstation. You can able to copy paste from here. For example, like think this is a server and I need to assign a dedicated IP address for this. Then I can able to take MAC address of that and I can able to assign here. Now, this has been clear. Okay. Right now you understood the moment when you want to configure a reservation, it's mandatory that you need to have a MAC address is been available here. Now, you take a scenario like you're working for a project. Now, the same IP schema or method you want to follow in that organization also. But currently the printer is been not delivered. You may be knowing um, there is a printer is been coming after 1 month, but currently you don't have any detail is been available here. Let me take you into whiteboard. Now, when you configure a reservation here, we understood MAC address has been mandatory here. Now, I'm just giving a scenario like you have a scope is being defined. Now, for configuring a reservation, MAC address has been mandatory. I'm just giving a scenario like you are planning to configure a network printer. Currently, the printer is been not available in your organization. In future, it's been coming, or in future there is a Exchange server is been coming. There is some Active Directory server is been coming, or you may be having some critical server is been coming here. Currently, I don't have any details about. I don't have any details about the MAC address of that particular workstation. So that kind of a situation, you can able to exclude one set of IP address from a distribution. Right now, if you able to see here, you have a IP range starting from 1 to 10 is been configured here. Now, I have some IP schema has been available in my organization saying that 5 is the IP address 10.0.0.5. I need to use it for Exchange server, but currently I don't have any Exchange server has been available. Because if Exchange server has been available, I can able to go and take the MAC address and I can able to configure. Now, currently I don't have that Exchange detail has been available here. So what I need to do, I need to block few IP address from distribution here. Now, if you see here, 0.10, I have been reserved here. Clear? Right now, I have a computer 1 to 10 is being configured. Now, if the computer 1 is been connecting, they will be getting IP address 10.0.1. Second computer will get 10.0.0.2. Up to 19, it will up to 9 it will distribute. 10 this one distribute. The reason is like 10 is been already reserved here. Now I need to configure something called exclusion. Exclusion means that exclusion range means that if tomorrow some requirement is coming, I know tomorrow there is some requirement is coming, so I'm excluding one set of IP address from distribution here. Means if I'm configuring a exclusion range here, for example, like if I configure exclusion range 10.0.527, see here, if you go back to this portal here, right now you can able to see DHCP server. There is some option you can able to see something called exclusion, right? If you click on the address pool here, you may be able to see something called new exclusion range. Here I have option for excluding one set of IP address from distribution. Means right now if you click on the address pool will give you details. What is the range? It's been configured. Right now you can able to see in the address pool, it's giving a message saying that, hey admin, there is a range has been configured from 1 to 10 here. Now in the address list, you will be able to see currently which client has been using what IP address here. If you click on the address leases here, you can able to see which client currently it's been connected, which date that IP address will be released, and how many days that client will be able to use the IP address. This kind of information you will be able to get it from the address leases here. Now, if you go to address pool here, if you select, if you click on the option called new exclusion range, right now you can able to see I have a IP address is started from 1 to 10 here. So I'm saying from this 0.0.5 to 10.0.0.7, I'm keeping for future purpose. You may be able to see here, there is a red cross mark. You may be able to see here, see, saying that 10.1. 10.0.0.1 to 10.0.0.10 is the distribution range, but there is an IP range from 5 to 7 is been blocked or it's been not going to release here. Meaning Let me go back to the whiteboard. You have a IP range is been started from 1 to 10. So you need to tell me if the first client is been connecting, can you comment it on the chat? What will be the IP address the first client will be getting? Can you comment it on the chat? Yes. So it will be getting 10.0.0.1. What will be the second client? 10.0.0.2. Third client? Fourth client? What about the fifth one? That is a tricky question here. What about the fifth one? Now, next computer has been connecting. What will be the next one? Why we are getting 8? Many people are being commented it's been 8. The reason is been like IP address 5, IP address 6, IP address 7 is been uh, blocked from the distribution. So my next client will be getting 10.0.0.8. Now in my next client is been getting, what will be the IP address? 10.0.0.9. What about the next computer? No, 10 is already we have been reserved. 10 is already we have been reserved. Already you're reserved for a network printer, right? 10.1, 11, there is no 11 here. There is no 11 here, right? Because 11 is not there because your pool is been started till 1 to 10 here. So the computer 11 will be getting a APIPA address. Superb. I think almost everyone has been answered here. So you're a master in DHCP now. So you understood what is the use of exclusion. You understood what is the use of a reservation also here. Any questions here? Clear, right? Okay, super. Now, right now, if you consider DHCP here, along with your IP address, the moment when you have a DORA process, we understood DHCP has been allotting IP address and a subnet mask. But yes, that's a good question. Zuman, 99% if that IP address is been not assigned to another computer, you will get the same IP address. In case after the lease duration time, if it is not renewed, and if that IP address has been assigned to a different computer, the client will be getting a new IP address here. So it will check a history always. If that IP address is still available on the port, DHCP will try to use the same IP address here. How can we use a reserved IP address? Vijay, Vijay has already we discussed here. There are some situation, Vijay, if you want to reserve an IP address to a particular user or a device or a workstation, you need to take a MAC address of that particular workstation, or you need to take a MAC address of that particular device, and you can able to configure in the DHCP option here. Vijay, you can go to DHCP server. There you can able to see an option called reservation here. So we can able to see an option called reservation, and here you can able to add that details here. So we can able to use for a reserved IP address here. So we have option for configuring a reserved IP address here. So the point which you need to remember, uh, at any point of time, if you're planning to have a reserved IP address or a reserved option reservation, if you want to use it, you need to ensure that you have an option of MAC address also to be available with you. We are getting a comment on in the chat. Sound is been not coming. Can you just confirm? Is there any audio issue? No. Look like it's an issue from his side. Yeah. Now we are getting another question. If you reserve an IP address, automatically excluder from, yes, exactly, you're right, Miraz. This IP address, in case, Miraz, as you said, in case if you configured any IP address as a reserved, uh, that will be excluded from the distribution. You're right, Miraz. That IP address won't be released, or that IP address won't be distributed from the address pool, because that's already you have been reserved for a particular device or a particular workstation. So that won't be released, or that won't be distributed. You're right, Miras. Can we use IP address from a range of reservation? In case if you want to use it from an exclusion, you can use it here. For example, like already you have been uh, an exclusion range is available, and you want to configure one IP address from the reservation, you can able to do that. Reservation always have a highest priority, so you can able to. A couple of comments has been coming on the chat. If all 10 IP has been issued, what will happen after lease time to all 10 clients? Um, so Mahendra, it's been like your server won't be wait for IP address to be uh, wait for the lease time to be completed, right? That's the reason you have a lease renewal process has been happening, right? Every 50 percentage and 87 percentage, all these 10 computer will be talking to the DHCP server and ensuring that their IP address will be renewed. That uh, how to protect your DHCP server from a DOS attack? Generally, this needs to be configured on a firewall level. If you're using on in a Microsoft Azure network, there is a two feature is been available here. One is called a standard, and another one is called a basic one. So in the VNet level, you can able to protect your all the servers, not DHCP server alone. There is a something called DDoS attack. DOS attack was the uh, um, previously it was a DOS attack, right? Only one computer has been, or one user has been trying to attack a particular server. Now this has been changed. Right now, if you take the cyberspace, you may be having a option of a bot kind of a, or a artificial intelligence kind of a mechanism has been available for making this kind of attack. That's called a DDoS, denial of a service, right? DDoS attack here. Now, when it is coming on a Microsoft Azure, there is a two protection plan we have here. Basically, this has been configured inside a place called VNet. Inside the properties of the VNet, you have an option for configuring this plan. There's a two option is been available. By default, if you configure any network on in a Microsoft Azure, by default there is a basic plan is been DOS protection plan is been enabled. But in case if you want to go for additional feature or an advanced feature like a monitoring or a governance, if you need on in a Microsoft Azure side, then you have a paid DOS attack protection plan also. It's been available there. So that will have a dedicated technical support that's called a DDRT or something. There is some technical team is been available from Microsoft. You can speak to them if there is any server is been down because of a DOS attack. You will be getting a service credit points and all. So that you have option in the Azure side. You have a option is been available for protecting from a DOS attack. So this basically configured in a VNet level when it is coming on in a Azure side. If it is on-premises side, you may have to configure on in a firewall level. By default, there is no inbuilt default option is been not available on a on-premises DHCP server for preventing a DOS attack. You may have to configure it on in a firewall level. Any questions? It's a big concern nowadays. Placement some of the best practice during the DHCP and yeah, I can possible Numan, I can have a separate discussion related to the security. This one, basically, if you take about not only about a DHCP or a DNS, uh, uh, if you take any infrastructure which you've been configuring on in a network, there is a concept called DID. Numan, that is the concept generally we are using following a IT infrastructure. Defense in depth. Because we need to configure security on in a different layers, starting from the physical layer up to data layer. We have to configure a security that basically known as a DID. DID is the concept generally we are using in an infrastructure for protecting your DHCP or a DNS or whatever service. DID is a DID, defense in depth. In a cyber security, we used to use a term called DAD, defense in depth. Different layers approach you will be taking. So I hope I can able to take you in a Google here. This basically will be covered in a AZ 500 session. So I can able to give you some layered approach for that. Give me a second. I hope you can able to see a screen here. So if you type DAD, security. Okay. Defense in depth. Defense in depth. You can able to see these are the different layered approach generally Numan we used to follow in the organization. So you can able to see security is not on the DHCP or a DNS level. Security is been starting from your perimeter or in a data layer or in application or endpoint. Each layer you need to protect your infrastructure. So each layer having a different approach. Few may be having a firewall. In few cases, you may be having vulnerability mechanism. Maybe you'll be using, and like you maybe have about DLP kind of options are available. So there is a different method we are using on in each layer. So if you're taking a perimeter, you may be having a firewall kind of options are be enabled. So this basically we have a separate sessions we have been planning on in a cloud security and IT security. There is a training event has been coming on AZ 500. So that time, Numan, you can able to understand more about this, how the security is been configured here. Clear? Okay. Now let's come back on the um, on-premises side. Now we had a situation, or we discussed about how IP address has been configured on in a on-premises side. Now there is a three more topic has been coming here. One is called as a DHCP option. One is been knowing as a server option, and the third one is known as a reservation option. Now, when you configure a DHCP server, the moment when you configure scope, by default, the client who is been getting an IP address from a DHCP server, by default, only two information only is been provided automatically. One is been like IP address, and second one is been something known as um, subnet mask. There are some situation. Let me take you into whiteboard. Yeah. Right now, if you can able to see here, the moment when you connect a DHCP server here, the moment the client is been connecting a DHCP server, by default, this getting a two address here, IP address, and second one is been like it's getting a subnet mask. There are some situation if you want to provide some additional information to client. For example, like this is a client of BM1. Now by default, from the scope in the scope, you define IP address and subnet mask. So the whoever has been connecting that, this is getting IP address and subnet mask here. Now there are some situation along with your subnet mask and IP address, if you want to push any additional information. For example, like if you want to push gateway server, or if you want to provide some DNS server details, or if you want to configure bin server details, any additional information if you want to push along with your IP address, generally this has been configured with the help of a concept called DHCP options. It's saying that along with your IP address and subnet mask, additional information of DNS server or whatever information you want to pass into your client, that can be configured here. This basically configured in a 3 level. One, it's been configured in a scope option. What do you mean scope option? If you go back to here, if you go back to the portal, you can able to see a tab here. It's called scope option here. Now, if you right click here, a scope option, and if you give an option like a configure scope option, I'm just giving along with your scope, please provide some additional information. Saying that I'm just giving my DNS server name is been apple.com. Apple.com server is been 10.0.0.5 or 100. So technically, what will happen? Any client who is been getting IP address from the scope along with your IP address and subnet mask, he will be getting name server also. So who has been associated with the scope? You're getting an option. You're getting the point. Uh, in case along with your IP address and subnet mask, if you want to push some additional information, you can able to configure in a 3 level. One is a scope option. Scope option means that whatever additional information which you have been configuring on a scope option, any client who has been getting from a scope, he will be getting IP address from here. Let me put in this way. Let me go back. Now, we always been joined in a college. Okay. Now, this is physics class. This is biology class. This is IT class. Now, by default, whoever has been joined this college, they got ID card. Okay. So if I join in the physics class, I got a badge. Whoever is being joined biology class, they also got a badge. IT department, they also got a badge. Now, as per the college, they configured, they came with a policy. Whoever is being joined in IT classroom, we are giving a laptop. What is the meaning of that? Uzain, can you comment it on in the chat? Any student who has been part of this will be along with your badge, they will be getting a laptop also. Clear? Team, it's been clear. Yes. Now, if any user who's been joined in the physics class, he will be getting an IP laptop, yes or no? No. The reason is been like, now you compare. Yeah. Now hold a second. Now you think your physics is your one scope. This is another scope. This is another scope. Now, badge is been by default your IP address. This is an IP address. Now you are providing some additional information here. So what you have done, you configured a scope option here as a laptop here. So in case in a DHCP server you're not configuring a laptop, instead of that you will be providing some additional IP details or a service details here, right? So that kind of configurations we are configuring here. So the whoever has been part of the particular scope, they will be getting this laptop here. Clear? Now, based on each scope, you may be able to configure different options here. Now, I have another option also. Yes. Now, another options, we have something called server options. Server option means that in the college level, you configure a policy. By default, Wi-Fi access to Wi-Fi access in the college has been free for everyone. What is the meaning of that? Meaning, whoever has been part of the physics, whoever has been part of a biology, whoever has been part of the IT scope, everyone is been able to get that, right? Meaning here, in case if you configure any option, if you configured a server option here, uh, if you configured multiple scope, I hope you can able to see the screen. Yeah, so you may be able to see something called server option here. So the option like a server option, if you configure, whatever options if you are configuring here, this will be applicable for all the scope available inside the DHCP. If you have n number of scope, if you're configured, whatever information you be configured here, this will be applied to the all the scope available on the system. Clear? Clear? Yeah. So the point here it's been like, in case if you want to push additional information along with your IP address, that can be pushed with the help of a server option and with the help of something called uh, scope option, and there is something called reservation option also, only for a particular computer. For example, like if you want to configure a you have a uh, manager is available, only for that manager you want to put some information, so then you can able to go for reservation option also, only for an individual computer is been available. Once the reservation is been configured, you will be able to configure reservation option also there. So technically speaking, in case if you have a multiple scope is been configured, and in case if you have a additional information if you want to configure, then you can able to go for DHCP option here. So reservation already we have been discussed. Reservation means that a specific IP address if you want to configure for a particular device, then you can able to go for DHCP reservation. APIPA already we have been discussed. In case if you are not able to reach out to the DHCP server, automatically the server is been taking an IP address that basically knowing as APIPA address. Always this will be a class B IP address also. Now these are the few DHCP commands you can able to use. If you are good in configuring in a command base, you can able to configure all the GA operation with the help of a command called netsh. Netsh is the command. You can able to use it for configuring in a command base mode. If you are good in configuring a command mode, you can able to go for netsh mode. Now there are some situation we used to go for configuring a 80-20 rule also. There are some situation in a organizations are using a yes, I'll be giving all this document also. Don't worry. Now, DHCP sizing means that in some organization, they will be using a multiple DHCP server also. 80% of IP address will be assigned from one DHCP server, and rest all will be configured from a second server also. So, in case if you want to put some kind of a load balance, or few organization you may be able to see there is something called 80-20 rule also. 80% of the IP address it's been distributed from one server, 20% assigned from the second server also. Now, DHCP option we have been already discussed. Basically, in case if you want to configure in a additional information, basically a DNS or a gateway address or a Win server, then you can able to go for DHCP options here. This basically it's been configured in a 3-level server option or a scope option or a reserved client also. So these are the few options by default it's been available on in a client here. Nowadays in Microsoft Windows Server 2019 or 2022, you have a HA feature also. It's been by default it's been available on a DHCP server. Right now, if you go to DHCP server here, hope you were able to see a document here. Yeah, there is something called failover cluster also. If you click on here, you will be able to see something called configure uh, failover also. For example, like in case if you want to configure a redundancy for your uh, DHCP, you need to configure two DHCP server in the network, and this needs to be added into a Active Directory. So if you have a additional server, if you want to configure, you will have to configure a Active Directory server here. Right now, you can able to see here, you have option for adding a partner server here. Partner server, you will be able to search it from a Active Directory. Since I don't have any Active Directory server here, right now you can able to see this has been uh, locating from a work group. But in a real-time scenario, if you have a if you want to configure a failover cluster for your failover cluster for a DHCP, technically for your information, you will take two server. You will take two server. Both the server will be installed with an operating system. On both the servers, you will install DHCP service, and this both the server will be added as a member server into your Active Directory. You're getting a point? In case if you want to configure uh, any redundancy or a availability for a DHCP server, you can able to configure with the help of Active Directory. So both the server, you will be added part of an Active Directory, and you will be configuring a HA feature here. So you'll be using a common database, and if one DHCP server is being down, with the help of the second one, you will be able to configure it that. So that's the way DHCP has been working on in a 2019 and 2022 also. So when you're getting a time, try to install an Active Directory. Right now we don't have any Active Directory here. Possible tomorrow we'll try to install a Active Directory, and we'll try to see a failover cluster feature here. We'll add uh, a DHCP server is being part of a Active Directory, and we'll try to see a Active Directory configuration here. So basically, if you want to configure here, you will go to a failover cluster here, and the partner server you want to configure here. So that will have a common database available, and with the help of that, you will be able to configure a DHCP backup, or will be able to configure DHCP availability. Now, in case if you want to take a backup here, by default, there is a old database is been created inside a place called DHCP. If you take a, by default, it will be saved inside Windows System 32. DHCP folder. You can able to see by default there is a folder is been created by default for a DHCP here. Here you can able to see there is a log file is been created here. See, there is something called DHCP SRV. Someone has been asking in the morning, is there any log file is been available, uh, uh, giving a information what is the current IP address is been released. So this information is been by default you can able to see in the SRV log. So each day there is a SRV log is been created. This will have a complete information, which client is been connected, which IP address is being released. This kind of the complete information you will be able to get it from the DHCP SRV log. This SRV log, it's been starting from Monday to Sunday. This file has been created, and it's been overwritten also. Okay, so 7 days information will be available on the log file here. So in case if someone want to troubleshoot which data, uh, which day, which client is been connected, what is the action has been happened on the service, you can able to find it from here. And there is a backup also it's been created here. In case if you want to take a backup, there is a backup is been by default automatically it's been taken here. In case if you want to take a backup, you can just have an option for taking a backup here. Now you have option for taking a backup. So if you want to take a backup, by default it's been pointed into the DHCP backup folder. In case if you want to point it to different shared folder or a different location, you can able to point your backup location to a different location as well. So this is the way your DHCP has been generally it's been configured on in a Windows Server 2019 and 2022. Any question from anyone? Who has been already marked address from the last 3 days? You don't need to go for you. In a 80-20 rule, Suman, you don't have any kind of redundancy either. That basically like a load balancing we are using. So uh, can the DHCP configuration copy to another server? In case if you're restoring this configuration to another server, obviously you will get it that. Whatever data has been available, and if you are restoring on another server, you will be getting that. Then you may be having a question, what about the security, right? So that's your responsibility, how you securing this backup or folder here. So that's the reason you are going for a DAD method. You need to ensure that only the right person is been authorized to access the server here. That is the concept of authentication, and authorization has been coming to picture here. Clear? Good. So tomorrow we'll be starting with how IP address is being assigned on in a cloud scenario. In a cloud scenario, you don't need to go for a DHCP server. By default, in case if you're configuring Windows Server 2019 or a 2022, VNet itself is been capable to provide IP address. You don't need to go for any separate DHCP server. Even your DNS also, you don't need any locally hosted DHCP or a DNS on in a cloud. By default, Active Direct by default your cloud itself having an option for providing an IP address or providing a name resolution there. So tomorrow we'll go through that, how IP address is been provided on in a cloud, how Active Directory has been coming on in a cloud scenario, and we'll try to create a couple of user account on in a cloud also, and we'll try to copy some couple of user account from um, um, on premises to cloud also. There is a concept is becoming something called AD connect also. So we'll have a discussion tomorrow, configuring a IP address on in a cloud scenario. We'll try to go through about giving an IP, giving a name resolution on in a cloud scenario, and we'll try to see about how to configure it on in a Active Directory on a cloud scenario also. Where can we use a router? That depends upon above it's been like organization. So all routers are not giving a features of uh, DHCP, because routers will not have any option of DHCP policies or a multicast. All these options are available though. So that depends upon the organization requirement. A few organization may be having a L3 switch is being configured. A few organization may be having a third-party tool also is been available for that. Uh, yeah, super scope and multicast scope. Vincent has been basically coming. Uh, I'm just giving a scenario like right now you have a two scope is been, you have a scope is been configured here. Let me take a scenario here. Yeah, super scope is been coming. Uh, I hope you can able to see a screen here. Now we have noticed when you configured a scope, once the scope is been full, your system is been not or your DHCP server is been not able to assign an IP address to your client, right? We have been noticed the system is been generating a APIPA address here. So in case if you're configured a super scope, if one scope is been full, for example, like you have a two scope is been available. For example, like the range has been configured 192.168.0.1 to 10. It's been completely full. In case if you're configured a super scope, you are merging two scope, saying that if one scope is full, uh, the client will be able to get an IP address from the second scope. So that kind of option generally knowing as a super scope. Uh, if you have a situation, if the client is been not worried about what is the IP address is been released or getting from a DHCP server, then you can able to go for a super scope. Uh, super scope means that if you have a multiple um, scope is being configured, for example, like let me take you into whiteboard here. You have a two scope is being configured. The first scope is been 10.0.0.1 and 10.0.10. Second scope is 192.168.0.1 to 0.100. So for example, like you already have a 10 client is already connected here. Now, if the 11th client is trying to connect it, technically you are not able to get any IP address from here, right? Vincent, I hope you can able to follow this. In that kind of a situation, if you enabled a super scope, you will be able to take an IP address from another scope and you can able to assign to the client. So that client will be getting an IP address from another scope. So that client, the 11th client, will be getting an IP address from the second scope here. So you have a situation if the customer is been not worried about what is the IP address is been getting from the DHCP server, then you can able to go for super scope. Multicast generally we are using. There is a concept of um, uh, give me a second. Super scope has been clear. Yeah. So so there are some situation if you want to configure a multicast. Basically, if you're a if you take a network, you have a broadcast and unicast and multicast is been available. In case if you want to configure any kind of a remote installation or a network installation, if you want to configure that kind of a situation, we used to use a multicast communication. So in case if you want to configure any such kind of a features with the help of a DHCP, then we used to go for a option called multicast options. So in case if you want to configure a multicast communication inside your DHCP, then you can able to configure with the help of multicast here. So basically, in case if you want to configure any communication 224.0.0.02, this is basically known as multicast IPs. So in case if you want to configure multicast communication or basically class D communication using a DHCP, then you can able to go for multicast scope. Basically it's using for a remote installation kind of a situation. We used to go for multicast IPs. So basically, if you want to configure any class D IP address, which has been starting from 224 to 239, that kind of a situation we used to go for multicast scope. Clear? So thank you, team. So we are top of time today. Chaitanya, if you're there. or Sudak?
Uh, yes, Robin, I'm there.
Yeah, I thank you, Chaitanya, for joining.
Yeah. Thank you, Robin, for the session, and thank you everyone for joining today. Uh, Looking forward to see you in the coming days as well. And yeah, if anyone has any doubts, then feel free to ask.
And we'll be providing this document handout. It's possible like evening I'll be able to send you the document for the all the sessions so far has been covered. So thank you, team. Let's connect tomorrow. Tomorrow's topic is about DNS, and we'll try to see how IP address is being configured with the help of a VNet, and we'll try to see a comparison of Active Directory on a on-premises, and we'll try to see it on in a cloud as well. So thank you, team. Talk to you tomorrow. Thank you all. Thank you, Chaitanya. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.